Well, welcome everybody for another series of the Rotary District 5340's Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force Education Series. We're excited to have you here, and thanks for watching this video that is on both the district's webpage, but also on the district's YouTube channel. It truly is a treat to have you here. I am so thrilled that we are able to have for us here a leader in the organizations really helping businesses come up with the understanding as to what they can do to be involved in the fight against human trafficking, and particularly the call to action that you hear at the end of this one. But let me introduce you who's on the call with us today, Hannah Allen. She is the Chief Program Officer for E3 Alliance. Now, E3 Alliance's mission is to leverage the collective power of the San Diego business sector to eradicate sex trafficking. Businesses of every size from every industry are invited to join and become the employer's ending exploitation partner. E3 provides preventive education for every employee, activating members of the business community to be the eyes of the public. And in particular, Hannah had officially joined PCI in December of 2018 as a senior program manager and designed and implemented the E3 Alliance program, Employers Ending Exploitation. Hannah has had an extensive corporate background in the hospitality and the casino industry and recognizes the opportunities businesses have in combating sex trafficking and protecting vulnerable populations. She is passionate about activating the business sector as leaders in the fight against human trafficking through education and community engagement. Hannah, I'm looking forward to this presentation. If you would start out too and telling us a little bit about PCI and go in a little more detail on your E3 Alliance, but the floor is yours. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks, David. Thanks for inviting me. I like to start off my meetings. We're going to talk about vulnerable subjects. So I like to come to you with honesty and vulnerability and share with you that I have a medical condition that can be quite painful. And sometimes I get so excited talking about E3 Alliance that I interrupt my own rhythm. So if you just bear with me and just grant me a little bit of grace and let me just let that pain pass, and then I'll jump right back in. I first want to start out by honoring the Rotary Club for your involvement in the anti-trafficking movement thus far. San Diego is really becoming a model city in how to respond to human trafficking from a holistic perspective. And it's really cool to see the government involved and clubs involved. And now we want to see businesses get more involved. So rather than just giving you a presentation on what the Alliance is, I want to share the story of the Alliance with you because you've been part of that foundation of San Diego's success in combating trafficking. So I'm gonna screen share in just a moment, but I do want to share, like David mentioned, my background is in the casino and gaming industry. My career started in the corporate world in Las Vegas. And I had a really cool job getting to shoot movies and TV shows inside Las Vegas hotels and casinos. But to do that, we typically would shoot in the middle of the night. And in the middle of the night in Las Vegas casinos, to see trafficking happening right before our very eyes. And I found, I struggled and advocated, and there just really wasn't a response system built into our employee response protocols. It just didn't exist. And so this need to engage the private sector in order to combat trafficking is actually what drove me to leave that career that I really, really loved and kind of move into this space and share with you ways I think businesses can be very impactful in combating trafficking. So let's move in. I'm gonna share PowerPoint, and then I'm gonna move over to our website. All right. Can you all see?
Sure can.
Right. So like David mentioned, I am from Project Concern International. We were founded here in San Diego over 60 years ago, and we are on month 15 of a really exciting 18-month merger with a fellow international humanitarian organization called Global Communities. So right now we're in partnership with them, but PCI is a San Diego nonprofit, and the effort that we've really tackled in our home community is trafficking. This is me. I do always like to give a trigger warning that I am going to cover some sensitive topics. Topics include sexual exploitation and assault and crimes against children, and this can be triggering. So if you're watching this and that is something that's sensitive to you, I just want to ensure that you take care of yourself first. I think it's always a good idea to establish vocabulary that I'll mention throughout. So most of you already know this about human trafficking, but it's the use of force, fraud, or coercion to obtain labor or commercial sex acts. CSEC, you'll hear me mention, CSEC is commercial sexual exploitation of children. This does not necessarily involve force, fraud, or coercion. This does include child pornography, consumption of child pornography, distribution, creation. And then I want to differentiate between victim and survivor. So when you hear me say victim within the context of this meeting today, I'm referencing someone who is still currently being exploited. And then when you hear me say survivor, I'm referencing someone who has left that life and has gone through recovery and moved into kind of the survivor phase of their exploitation experience. And then victim service organization, when I say that, what I mean is our recovery programs and our recovery houses. Most of you probably know a few of them: Generate Hope, Alabaster Jar Project, Bilateral Safety Corridor Coalition. We have some really strong victim service organizations here in San Diego. So this framework that I'm sharing here, this is used by the entire United States, this ways to tackle trafficking in the US. So of course, first is prevention, protection, prosecution, and partnerships. Partnerships was added years after the first P's, and partnerships is where we see an opportunity for the business sector to kind of get into the movement. These are some statistics about San Diego specifically. Most of these numbers come from the Gates Carpenter study. If you don't know what that is, I would be happy to share that with you. You can also find it on our website, but Dr. Amy Carpenter and Dr. Jamie Gates did a study about what does sex trafficking look like in San Diego, and they estimate that there are over 3,400 people currently being sexually exploited in our city. It's an $810 million a year industry. The FBI has put San Diego, San Francisco, and Los Angeles in the top 13 high intensity areas for crimes against children. And this bottom stat here that average age of entry is 16, PCI did a survey of 20 San Diego high schools. And these are high schools that were all over the county. And 20 out of 20 reported they have recruitment tactics happening on campus. And I want to pause here for just a moment because school doesn't look like what it did when this survey took place. With COVID, we have so many kids learning remotely. And what we're finding from COVID is that there is a drop in the number of reported cases of child abuse. And while on paper that might look good that we have a drop in that number, what that actually means is kids aren't in front of their teachers to see their well-being. And so they're not being reported. And also with COVID, we're now teaching children to be comfortable in front of a computer, on camera, communicating with someone on the other side and taking instruction. And for people who work in my industry, that's a really vulnerable place for a kid to be, especially kids who aren't supervised. Here are some additional statistics about sex trafficking in our city. I think it's important to point out that it's the second largest illegal industry in San Diego. Our drug trafficking does outweigh sex trafficking, but there's two important differences to point out between drug trafficking and human trafficking. And the first is that with drug trafficking, if someone is caught with drugs in their possession, that's a major, major crime. But if someone is caught with another human in their possession who's not bound or tied to anything where it looks like they can't leave, there's nothing illegal about having another person with you. So it's already, for traffickers, there's an incentive there, and we need to pay attention to that. And the second thing to point out is with drugs, a trafficker sells their product one time, but with sex trafficking, they can sell their product over and over and over again. I do want to point out that last stat down there, 3,800 runaways in the state of California in 2019. And stats tell us that after the first 72 hours in the street, a runaway is typically picked up by someone who's prepared to exploit them very quickly. This is a look at kind of what is existing in San Diego. We have about 70 beds in the county for someone who is leaving the life and needs to be placed in recovery housing. We have a very great human trafficking task force of police working. The city has an advisory council with 9 subcommittees. We meet monthly. We try to tackle things from all directions, and it's a really great cohesive effort. And then you'll notice your prevention education at the bottom. Rotary supports these programs. So this youth programming and youth protection includes the San Diego Trafficking Prevention Collective, which Rotary has been a huge supporter of. And that also includes Project Roots, Know More, and Protect. So I do want to say thank you for supporting those projects. We are all working together on the same team. And I just want you to know that those things are happening at the same time. And then before we created a business alliance, we kind of surveyed what was going on in the city and noticed some weaknesses in the movement and ways that we can fill some of those gaps. So how are we reaching parents? How are we getting information about myths about trafficking? How are we communicating about internet safety for children, employment opportunities for survivors? There's a lot of opportunity here. And we noticed the sector missing from the work was business. So before we took any steps further, we met with the victim service organizations and said, if we were to get businesses engaged in the movement, what could they do for you? How could they respond in a way that supports your efforts or strengthens your efforts? And this is just an example of some of their responses. It was just like, yeah, they can do this, 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 this. So we are here to try to educate businesses and also fill some needs. So in 2017, we established that mission that David shared at the beginning to leverage the collective power of the San Diego business sector to eradicate sex trafficking. That's the mission of E3 Alliance. We're focused on the business community and inviting them into this space. But we should also recognize that if we invite businesses into a space where only they exist, that's not necessarily strengthening the movement. So what we've done is created 3 different kinds of partnerships. The first is government partners. So our current government partners include Summer Steffen, our district attorney, Mara Elliott, our city attorney. It includes the San Diego Human Trafficking Task Force, our police officers and detectives who are working against the movement. And then our second is community partners. And a great example of a community partner is the Rotary Club. So community partners are people we say who are already doing the work. And Rotary, by supporting anti-trafficking programming and giving us a platform to share messages, like you are doing the work, and we're happy to have your partnership. So we're thrilled that you're a community partner. This also includes our victim service organizations. They are community partners of E3 Alliance as well. And then we have business partners. So now we're officially launched. We are inviting businesses to join the Alliance, and I'm going to share with you what that membership means. Oh, I got ahead of myself. First, I want to tell you the approach that we have with engaging businesses. So usually the response right out of the gate is like, we need jobs for survivors. And yes, we do need jobs for survivors. But first, we want to educate the workforce, lay a good foundation, explain what trafficking is, how it affects you, ways that your life or your work may intersect with trafficking. So we start with education. Second, we invite new advocates, new businesses, new clubs, anyone who's excited around this effort and wants to find a way to plug in. We want to promote engagement opportunities. And then top of the pyramid, we want to find employment opportunities for survivors. And so for me, the way that I visualize this is kind of more like this. We pave some ground, we lay some education, we foster some engagement opportunities. And then at the top of the mountain is we want to find employment opportunities for survivors. But we want to find employment opportunities for survivors with businesses that care about their exploitation, who say we understand it, we acknowledge it, we are trained about it. And that way our survivors don't have to go into a workplace and reveal their status of their exploitation. It's just a nod to them to say this business really, really cares. If this is going to work for me, I want to just do a little exercise with you. So if everyone would look at your screens for just a moment, this is a 1-minute video that we really like sharing. So Hopefully you can hear the audio.
This is an awareness test.
Can you hear the audio? Good.
How many passes does the team in white make? The answer is 13. But did you see the moonwalking bear?
Yeah, it's easy to miss something you're not looking for. So this is also something that's kind of referred to as the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon, the yellow car theory, the frequency illusion. And I bring this up to say, we have so much happening all around us at all time, and our attention is being tugged in lots of different directions, but we don't know how to look for something if we don't know what it is. We don't know the things that we should be looking out for. So I hope that video kind of sticks with you as I continue. So when we invite businesses in to join, it's a really easy process. We don't want to make this difficult. You just visit the website and you fill out the form online. We'll connect with you, we'll introduce you to a representative. We offer you to take an online assessment, it takes 5 minutes max. Then we ask you to sign the E3 commitment, which I'll share with you in a few moments. And then we want you to train your employees, but we've done that work for you. So after a business joins, we can create this really cool journey of recommended tools to improve your practices. This is all information that we already have prepared for you. And then in regards to our trainings, we offer 2 different kinds. We have an online training called Best Basics. It is, it can be taken at employees' convenience. It has question and answer built throughout. It has video components and interviews, and it's really informative, and it takes about 35 minutes to complete. So that's what we want all employees to take that training, learn what the red flag indicators of trafficking are, and understand how to effectively report those indications. We also offer a live training that's called E3 Live, and that is led by either myself or my colleague, Marissa. And we also have invited a group of local people who have experienced exploitation to co-facilitate those meetings with us. So we give the training, but we invite a survivor leader into the space to add first-person perspective. I should share all the materials that we use throughout E3 have been a collaboration between us and the Survivor Leader Network of San Diego. Our materials have been reviewed by people who've experienced exploitation to ensure that we're giving the most relevant, accurate information and making sure that we're hitting the most important points. So when we train employees about sex trafficking, we have 2 anticipated outcomes. So I'm going to jump over to our website. Can you see this? No.
If you're trying to show the website, the answer is no. You just have to go back instead.
Perfect. All right. There we go. This is our website. Employers ending exploitation. So here's the Alliance website. On our About page, the statistics that I shared with you, we want those to be easily accessible. So on the About page, you can access all the stats that you heard me share earlier. There are also links to the source of that information. So if there's something that you're interested in reading further, all of that exists right here. And as for those anticipated outcomes, so if we educate the workforce about what sex trafficking is, the first anticipated outcome that we have is someone saying, oh, okay, this is a real important thing, and I didn't realize that it affects me. Like maybe I'm a parent of a 13-year-old who's on Instagram nonstop, and I've got a high-risk kid. Maybe it's someone who's experienced exploitation and didn't know there was a name for it or resources that exist. And perhaps we will meet sex buyers along the way. And we want to make sure that anyone who learns about sex trafficking has resources that they can access very quickly. So on our website, we have a resources page. We have resources for advocacy, news and legislation. These are resources for victims of trafficking, should they need any kind of help, parent resources, sex buyer resources, and trafficker resources. So there's support for anyone who finds themselves in any way related to sex trafficking. We are prepared to answer with resources. The second anticipated outcome is that people go, wow, I didn't know this was happening here. This is crazy. I want to help. And that is really the response we get the most. And that is so important that we be prepared to harness that like new excited energy. So we've created this very cool online two-way space between victim service organizations and survivor-led groups, and then with the business community. So on this, we call this the Engage page. We invite victim service organizations to come in, and they can fill out a form and post any need they have. So it could be a need for volunteers, in-kind donations, event support, professional services, meetings and webinars. We want to make sure that if they have a need that needs to be filled, they have a place to post it. And then we invite new advocates or businesses as a whole, volunteer teams, youth groups, anyone who's interested in getting involved can come to this space, and they can do one of two things. They can answer and they can respond to a need that already exists. So here are some examples of needs that we have on the website. So you can come on and say, oh, you need school supplies? I can buy school supplies. And immediately, like, you've just joined the movement. You're in, you're participating, this is exciting. The other thing that you can do is offer up something. So perhaps you're a CPA and you say, I can do taxes for one victim service organization in 2022, huge. Or you can say, we have a boardroom. Do you need a place to have meetings? We have a volunteer group who wants to get involved, but we can't find a service project to do. Can you use us? So you can also come to this exact same space and offer up something for good. And I'll share, this part of the website is really exciting and important to me because this was the way that I entered the San Diego anti-trafficking movement. So like I said, I worked in casinos in Las Vegas, and then coming to San Diego for the first 2.5 years I lived here, I just did pro bono work for anyone in the movement who could use someone with PR, marketing, and production skills. So I just said, like, this is what I have to offer. Can you use me? And really, anyone who has any kind of professional service to give or space to give or volunteers to give, we definitely have victim service organizations that have needs that need to be met. So with that, I'll move over to our contact page here really quickly. If this is something you care about, if you're a business leader, if you're a business owner, if you're an employee for a place that you think might be interested in this, it's really easy to join. We have a join us page on our website, and I want to show you, this is all the information you have to fill out. It's very, very brief. We get in touch with you right away, but there's a real opportunity to take action today just by filling out this form on our website. Really, any business, any industry, any size needs to receive this information. We feel that it's really, really important. So I want to make sure that I'm saving time for questions. It's my goal in 2021 to end meetings early or on time. So let me look at our questions here. Oh,
I don't know if we've got questions in the chat room there, but we'll see about raising personal hand. If we do that, let's go back to the gallery view. I do have a couple of questions, Hannah. This has been fabulous, but I want to offer up the gallery. Kimberly, looks like you've got your hand raised. I'll let the floor is yours.
Okay, great. I have two questions. The first is, one of your slides mentioned that there are 70 VSO beds available for victims. And my question is, are those always full? Is there more demand for them? Is there a need for more beds, or how full are they?
Yeah. That's a really good and really important question. The recovery houses aren't always full. We find that victims of trafficking usually have like compounded things that need to be addressed all at one time. So that can include addiction, it can include criminal charges, it can include mental health support. So it's not very often that on like a very quick turnaround daily basis that someone would call and say, I need help, and we pull them into a recovery house. Usually there's some layers in between there. So the houses aren't always full, but yes, 70 beds versus 3,400 victims. Yes, we need beds, we need mental health support, we need addiction and recovery. Yeah, there's a lot of room to strengthen those victim service organizations because they are working very hard.
I can imagine. Yes. Thank you. And then my second question is, as businesses get involved or you are out in the community educating businesses, do you receive any resistance from businesses?
That's a good question. You know, I haven't received resistance from businesses, but this I've learned, depending on who we're talking to, there are different things that capture the attention of business leaders. So for me, this cause breaks my heart. I think that it's a major injustice and that it's something we should absolutely be focusing on. It doesn't break every heart. So with that, I will say, in the state of California, there's a list of industries that are legally required to train their employees about sex trafficking, how to identify it and how to report it. That includes clubs, bus stations, bars, massage businesses, hotels, all of these like industries that might see something happening. Anyway, so there are some industries that are legally required to, so that's kind of a nice way to like introduce the idea of like you could join the alliance and we'll do the heavy lifting for you. We'll give you the training, we'll speak to your employees, we'll plug you into the movement. Beyond those industries, there is a federal law called the Trafficking Victims Protection Act. And that law says that if there is a business that was complicit in someone's sex trafficking experience. So I'll give you an example of a hotel. There was a woman who was kept in a hotel room. There was a man who was always outside the door. And then there was foot traffic of men coming in, men going out, men coming in, men going out. That hotel is now being held liable for being complicit in her trafficking, and she can actually pursue their involvement. So really there is a legal case for businesses to join. It really is a legal risk reduction.
Great. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the questions. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
And Kimberly, that was a fantastic question. I appreciate that. Open others to raise their virtual hand or raise your physical hand if you're having trouble figuring out how to do that. And I will certainly do my best to see you. But in the interim, Hannah, I had a couple of questions. You sort of alluded to the fact that you're not getting much resistance, but I'm curious for the ones who maybe sitting on the sidelines, hasn't reached out, hasn't logged on to the website because they say, well, look, I'm too small of a business. I'm not in hospitality. I'm not in a certain area that I believe, maybe incorrectly, that human sex trafficking is more prevalent than others. What would you say to those organizations that come to you saying, you know, I don't think it's an issue in my backyard?
That's a good question. Well, what I would say straight out of the gate is if your business utilizes the internet, if you employ parents, if you see the public, then this is something you need to know about. Like really, there's a business case for every industry to join, and I can see why some small one-off businesses might not be interested, but really like we have like a 12-person engineering consulting company, and they work mostly in their office, and they're like, we need to know about this. We got parents on staff. Also, I think it's important to point out that dignity, equity, and inclusion is like the really big corporate social responsibility initiative right now. And we're talking about people who were not included when jobs were designed. No one had thought about like, what about people who've been exploited for years over years and don't have traditional employment experience? Their resume doesn't read like someone who's had a long work history. But these people who've experienced exploitation are very resilient and they have vast skill sets. So if businesses are interested in pursuing dignity, equity, and inclusion, a really good first step would be to teach your employees about what's happening and what they can do to identify the red flag indicators and report those.
I think that's something in all candor that we as a task force, but also as a district would be most interested in. And it's something that as we develop other programs in the coming year or so, this is one that I think is going to take precedence, is how do we become a conduit to finding good people, qualified people who may, because of circumstances outside of their control, much like, you know, we talk about sexual exploitation, could be outstanding employees. So I will definitely get back to you on that, and I appreciate it. I want to make sure there's a clarification. If a organization does want to join, is there a cost to them to be a part of this?
That's, yeah. We recommend, we do a kind of a voluntary contribution. We make a recommendation of $10 per employee. And that includes all of your membership. So $10 per employee, we provide you the trainings. I should mention, we have additional tools that aren't required to receive business partner certification, but are recommended. And those include HR policies, internal reporting protocols that businesses can customize with the structure that they prefer best. Excuse me one second. We have marketing materials, we have posters that can be hung. We have an IT firewall list. There's lots more tools that businesses have access to, and they join beyond just the training. We just want to prioritize that training is the thing we want completed.
I appreciate that. Michael, you put a question in chat, but why don't you unmute yourself and ask the question directly?
Sure. Thanks, Hannah. The question is, and there are varying ways to answer it, I guess, but are there areas of this region that are more prone or more prevalent in the exploitation of victims of sex trafficking or such? I know the answer is it happens everywhere, but are there some places that are just plain more, we're finding it's more prevalent?
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. People have asked along the way, like, what is our recruitment strategy to invite businesses to join the Alliance? And I would say, like, straight out of the gate, I want to invite people who are already engaged, who already care about this. Like, this is an exciting way to connect and potentially move forward with businesses joining. But also it's really important to get to the parts of town where we see trafficking happening most, and to the businesses that might see it the most, like the hospitality industry. So Michael, we have kind of a cross-campus project going right now with UCSD, a campus student organization, and USD, a campus student organization. We invited them kind of into a space together, and we went to the San Diego Human Trafficking Task Force and said, can you give us the footprint of the parts of town where the most instances of sex trafficking happen? And they complied. They sent us 2 areas in town. I can send those to you later if you care to know. And these campus student organizations are creating a database of the businesses that exist within that footprint. And they're gathering the contact information, and then we're going to go straight to those locations and invite them to join. And I should mention too, with the membership voluntary contribution, $10 per employee, it is voluntary. We know that there are some small businesses that don't have a corporate social responsibility budget. So with our larger businesses that are willing to give large amounts, like $20,000, we can build in sponsorship packages for smaller businesses. So I share that to say no business will ever not be able to join the Alliance due to a funding. And I think some of the businesses in those parts of town would maybe qualify for those kind of sponsorships.
That's an important note. Thanks so much, Hannah, for that one there. Open up to any last questions that any of our panelists and audience would have. Hannah, this has been a true treat. One of the things that we haven't done as of yet is to offer real businesses some concrete steps as how they can get involved with this one. We've been focused in the previous workshops on really defining what the problem is at an individual level. but at a corporate level, there's so much more to be done. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for the work that you do and for PCI. And you will be hearing from us. That I can promise you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. It's an absolute honor. I know that it's your evening, and it was always my goal this year to end our meetings early. So I hope to give you back some of your time this evening. I know that, oh, Mark, do you have a question?
Yeah, sorry, real quick. I believe that an event coming up here pretty from PCI. Do you have a information on that by any chance?
On an upcoming event with PCI?
Yeah, like a fundraiser gala or something that they usually have.
Oh yeah, we do. We have a, Amber, I'm not sure if you are still with us or not. I don't want to put you on the spot. We do, Mark, have a gala in the fall, and this year looks different, like last year looked different. I don't have that information handy, but I can get it to David to get it out to you.
If
Hey,
you do that, we'll
I'm on
post
the
on there. Go ahead,
phone.
Amber.
Oh, here's Amber.
If you say fundraising, I will jump in.
Sure.
We do. We have a golf tournament on July 12th, and it's in Rancho Santa Fe. And we also have a gala on September 22nd. So if you're interested in either of those, I'd be happy to give you some more information, but we would love for you to join.
Amber, if you send that to me, I'd be happy to pass it along.
Okay, great. Thank you. And thanks so much for your interest.
You bet. You bet. Thanks for the question, Mark. Sorry I missed you there. Kimberly, you have your hand raised again.
Yeah, sorry. I'm just curious, Hannah, to know, as you have gotten involved in this work, what has surprised you most?
I have to think about that. I think when we conceptualized creating a business alliance in San Diego, I think at the beginning of the process, it sounded like something that could be very swift and simple. And it's taken a long time to get to where we are because we've had to step very delicately and very intricately because we have a really strong local movement that exists already. And we have to honor that space and those people that are already at work. So I would say something that surprised me was the amount of time it took us to get to where we are today, but I'm really pleased with that process and that we took it one step at a time to ensure that we were hearing other people's voices, hearing other people's concerns, needs, input, feedback. Yeah, it took longer to create than I thought that it was going to, but I'm really happy with what we've ended up with.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you
Great.
so much. This has just been a really cool experience to share this with you. My info is hannah@e3sandiego.org. I'm sure David will share that with you, and our website is e3sandiego.org. You're welcome to visit it if you're interested. If you have questions or you want to kind of refer a friend who's a business leader, you're welcome to reach out. You can reach out to me directly on email, or if you fill out that form, I'm on the other end of that form. So once you hit send, it comes straight to me.
Well, at least we know, at least a note goes somewhere, right? Sometimes you're never sure where that goes, and it's to an actual individual. And it's you. It's been a real treat. Thanks so much for the time. Thanks for letting us know about that. And thank you all for attending. Thanks for watching these and the other videos that we have in there. If you want to get involved in this and other things, please send us correspondence through your chapter president directly through the website. We'd love for you to be part of what is truly a movement on ending the scourge of human sex trafficking here in San Diego, around the United States, and around the world. For now, we'll see you next time. Thanks so much.